It's not particularly hot this afternoon, but it is kind of sticky. The humidity's around 80%. So it's a good afternoon to take a look at some more updates. Join me with a tasty beverage of your choice close to hand while we take a look at 4- and 5-year Hoya updates. Throughout the course of this video, you're going to hear me mention a shop called Plants Wake You Up, and they're no longer in business. But I did business with them for several years, and a lot of my collection came from them. So I'm mentioning them because if I don't mention where the plants came from, then people get in touch with me and say, you didn't tell us where the plants came from. And then, it's a whole spiraling thing, and I just don't want to go there. So that's just a good heads up on Plants Wake You Up. I miss you guys a lot. And the first one here today has been here for 4 years, and that's my Hoya manipurensis. Now, manipurensis is native to Bangladesh, to Bhutan, to Yunnan in China, to Assam in India, to Myanmar, Nepal, and Thailand. And it was first published in 1955 in the Journal of the Indian Botanical Society by Debendra Bijoy Deb. And it was originally thought to be a dischidia. But DNA testing has proven that it is, in fact, a Hoya. And it's got these great, cool leaves. And I'll put some close-ups of the leaves over here. That shape is just really cool. A lot of people rave about what they call the fishtail Hoya, Hoya polyneura. I don't think polyneura's got anything on manipurensis. That's just so pretty and so cool for me. It has bloomed for me, and I should have pictures that I can put over here on the side to show you what that looks like. This has been just a really, really good grower. No trouble. I may even have a picture of what it looked like when it first arrived, but I don't know that I was doing that 4 years ago, so we'll see. But this has grown very, very well. It's growing in my standard pond mixture. In a self-watering pot, there's a little bit of moisture in there. There's not too much roots coming out the bottom, but that's fine. It's doing what it needs to do. Come on. There we go. And it's growing fairly well. The leaves have very interesting veining, as you'll see from the close-ups. There's a slight, very, very slight central vein, and then a lot of fanning stuff out in the shape of the leaf. But, it's just, they're very, very unique. I really like this plant. It's done well. It took it a little bit of time to get established. Most of the plants that I transfer to ponds seem to take a little bit of time once you've disturbed them. So taking them for whatever it was they came in and moving them to, pond and self-watering, probably slowed its development down a little bit. I probably even had it in a smaller pot because at the time I was putting everything into these little 4-inch self-watering cube pots, and they worked great, but the plants quickly outgrew them. So I've just started putting everything into pots this size now, just to start with, because it just means I have to repot less and disturb the roots less. But it's done very, very well. It's an easy grower. It's not difficult. It currently lives on the floor between 2 of my grow shelves. I have a lot of plants in that mid-light range. The leaves seem to have a really nice color to them, in addition to being very pretty. And it's just a sturdy little plant. The leaves themselves the older leaves are firm, not rigid. There's some flex to them. Don't do that thing. And the stem stays sort of flexible. There's a firmness to it, but even after a while, there's some flexibility, so it's not too difficult to trellis. You notice it all seems to be sweeping up like this, but it's all coming out of that batch down in there. No trauma, no drama, no difficulties. I think it was maybe a year before it bloomed for the first time. So it's not a rampant bloomer, although it's a regular bloomer as long as I keep up with the watering and all that kind of stuff. It's just a neat plant. It's very, very unique in terms of the leaf shape. So again, when people tell you, oh no, all Hoyas look alike, no, they don't. Manipurensis is cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, definitely worth searching out. I've had no difficulty with it. And I like this plant a lot because it's just really cool. This one came from Plants Wake You Up, and this is my Hoya manipurensis. The next one here for 4 years is my Hoya Mathilde. Now, Mathilde is a cross between Hoya carnosa and Hoya serpens by Emilio Begigna, or Begigna, I'm not quite sure which. And it was created in 1994 in Belgium, and it was named after a Belgian princess. And this has been, how's it growing right now? So this has been a good little plant for me. It's not little anymore. It's kind of doing its thing. It's getting ready to bloom again down here on the end of this vine. There's a peduncle in there. There's another one further down. It's already bloomed once this summer. We've been having a difficult time this summer, only because of the pot that it's in. The only way to find out what the water level is, since I can't see through it, is to get up on a ladder and lift the inner pot out of the outer pot and take a look. And sometimes I just put some more food in and don't pay too much attention to it. So it's a little drier than it wants to be. But it has done, on the whole, really well for me. And I like this plant. Now, this one is a sister plant, or a sibling plant, to Hoya shuka. And they both came out of the same, they were grown from seeds from the same seed pod, but have turned into 2 different cultivars. So when everyone's buying seeds and growing your own seeds, just remember that you're not always going to get, the plants that you're going to get are not always going to match the parents exactly, or one of the parents. So that's why you'll see in listings sometimes there'll be the notation from seed or seed grown. And that's to let you know that it might not exactly match what you expect. There could be some variation. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. Doesn't mean anything's wrong, just something to keep in the back of your mind. Matter of fact, I have some growing now. I found a seed pod on my Hoya VL9. So I'm planting, I've got some seeds sprouting, and I'm going to see what those come to. But this has been a great little plant. It's very pretty. I should have pictures of the blooms when I'll put those in over here. And I may even have pictures of what it looked like when it first arrived. And if I do, I'll show them sometime during this segment. But it's been a good little plant. I'm really fond of it. It's in my standard pond mix in a self-watering pot. I have to find a better self-watering pot, and I think I have one in mind. And it's currently living in a northwest window here on the porch actually just right over here, just out of camera range. For the summer, in the winter, it moves into my den, which is a west-facing window, but it's pulled back maybe 2 feet or 60 centimeters from the window, so it doesn't get blasted with light. But yeah, I'm sure you've heard tell of the Hoya Mathilde, and this is it, and it's definitely worth searching out. A fun plant, really, really cute. Nothing but good to say about it. So yeah, this one also came from my friends at Plants Wake You Up, and this is my Hoya Mathilde. Also here for 4 years is my Hoya scortechinii with the descriptor pink. Now, scortechinii is native to Brunei, to Kalimantan and Sumatra in Indonesia, to Malaya, Sabah, and Sarawak in Malaysia, and to Thailand. It was first published in 1908 in the Journal of the Asiatic Society of Bengal, Part 2, Natural History, by George King and James Sykes Gamble. And the notes on the herbarium sheet say Penins, P-E-N-I-N-S-M-A-L, so probably the Malaysian Peninsula, which would be Malaya. And it's named after Benedetto Scortechinii, who was a missionary and botanist and who collected plants all over Malaysia and made a lot of significant contributions to botany. And this plant is just a beauty. There's a nice little bit of splash on the leaves. They're a beautiful green color. This one is a grow beast. Again, it didn't do anything for kind of a while until it got established. And then it grew okay. And then it took off. When I moved it, and we'll talk about that, but it's growing in my standard pond mixture. It's got a decent little fine root system in a self-watering pot. And at one point it had gotten kind of tall because it's on my standard optimistic trellis. And so I decided to move it I have a low table in front of my south-southeast facing window, and I moved scortechinii over there. And boy, did it like that. It's pulled back from the window maybe 2 feet or 60 centimeters, probably closer to 45 centimeters or 1.5 feet. And it has just gone crazy over there. It's just very, very happy living in that setup. A little dusty, but what can you do there? But it's just done really well. I may have a picture of what it looked like when it first showed up, and I'll put that over here if I do. And I got it, I'd seen it on Miro's channel, and I got it because of those beautiful leaves. I mean, wow, what's not to like? Also the long lancelet shape. Now the leaves are running approximately, let's pick the one, from petiole to tip, about 5 inches or just under 13 centimeters. And from side to side, about 1.5 inches or 3.5 centimeters. So they're decent size. They're not huge. They're very pretty. And it has, the last year or so, it's just been, you see the vines have wrapped around themselves. And this was all up into everybody else's business, these 2 vines here. Yeah, it's just a pretty plant. I really like the look of this. To me, that's just a handsome plant. So yeah, it has bloomed for me. That's where the descriptor pink comes from, and I should have pictures to put over here. Yeah, it's just really neat. The leaves have a slightly recessed central vein and some slightly recessed, well, no, slightly raised side veins. There's a decent amount of splash, nothing, overwhelming, but the splash adds a nice little look to the whole plant. And it grows like crazy. Once it's established, it grows like crazy. Every couple of weeks, I got to go get this out of something else because that's probably almost 3 feet or 39 centimeters. No, 1 meter, 39 centimeters, 39 inches. It's just done so well. I think it looks lush. It's got a great look to it. It's very, very cool. Yeah, I'd recommend this one. And the blooms are pretty too. So, what's not to like? This one too came from Plants Wake You Up. And this is my Hoya scortechinii. Has also been here for 4 years, and this is Hoya species SR 2007-13 Loei province. Now, Loei province is in central Thailand, and this was first published in 2007, or discovered in 2007 by Sarisa Somadi, and it's known for having fragrant flowers. And I first saw this on Miro's channel, and did my MO at the time of watching Miro's stuff and taking notes and then going to Plants Wake You Up and saying, you got this? Do you have any ready soon? And that's what happened with this one. That's the story behind this. I may have a picture of what it looked like when it showed up, and that would be cool. For a long time, it was not very much of a start. It was very, very slow to get going. It's growing in my standard pond mix. It's got a decent little root system. There's moisture in the pot. It's a self-watering pot. And the leaves are just beautiful. Just gorgeous. Very, very cool. They're slightly reminiscent of, Hoya rangsan. But I'm not implying that they're related or anything else. They just make me think of that one. There is a slightly raised, I'm going to say it's raised, I'm looking at it in light now, slightly raised central vein and 2 parallel side veins. There's a good amount of splash. They've got a nice color. This one is currently growing on the bottom shelf of one of my grow shelves. So the top of this trellis is probably, let's say, 12 inches to 30 centimeters above this. And to get this out, I had to cut the topmost vine because it had grown almost 6 feet out, wrapped itself through, had leaves this size, so I wasn't going to be able to back it out through what it had wrapped around, and had gone off on a little adventure. So once it gets established, it's a really good grower. It's just a cool plant. Very happy with, leaves like that. No trauma, no drama. The only thing was I got rather impatient with it because it really didn't take off for a very long time. But I think that was a combination of it getting settled in and me finding the right place for it in the plant room. It wanted a bit more light than I was giving it. And it appreciated moving into a larger self-watering pot. I probably had it in one of those little 4-inch cubes. So yeah, it's very cool. It's a very pretty plant. If you can find it, definitely worth keeping an eye out for. The leaves themselves are sort of succulent. They're a little on the thickish side. The vines themselves get woody fairly quick. So while it's not a thirsty plant, I think it's holding moderate amount of water in the leaves. Probably not too much in the stems because they're woody, but I think it's holding some moisture in the leaves. So while not being thirsty, it does, don't let it dry out. None of us like that. But it's cool. It's very cool. This one also came from Plants Wake You Up, and this is my Hoya species, SR2007-13 Loei Provence. Next up, also here for 4 years, is my Hoya thomsonii. Now, thomsonii is native to Assam in India and to portions of Tibet. It was first published in 1883 in the Flora of British India by Joseph Dalton Hooker. And the comment on the herbarium sheet says Reg Himal, so I'm guessing Himalayan region. Who knows? That's what I'm guessing. This is a very cool plant. I'll preface it with it's getting ready to bloom, so I'm going to be a little ginger with it. But there's there's one peduncle there. There's another one coming in over here. And the leaves are just beautiful. They are beautiful. They are a nice darker green shade with a good amount of light green splash, and they are fuzzy. They're decidedly pubescent on the top. I mean, you can feel it. It's not dense, but it's there on the top. However, the underside is like velvet. They're just so cool. And I'll include some close-ups so you can see, but very, very pretty plant. And it has done fairly well for me. I finally found a spot that I think it liked. It was in higher light. At some point I have to go through and kind of gently detangle all this. Oh, there's another peduncle in there. Right in here. That might even focus. I had it growing under much brighter light. And again, I didn't like the color of the leaves. They looked washed out. They looked a little chlorotic. So I moved it, and it now lives on the front of my desk in the plant room. This side faces a south-southeast facing window, but it's pulled back at least a meter, 39 inches. And it seems to like that setup. The leaves have gotten a nice darker shade. It's put out lots of new growth. And actually, this is the part that's down almost to the floor, so that would indicate to me that it does prefer, what is that? Oh, dust from sitting on the floor. It does prefer lower light. at least it's responded well to being in lower light. So yeah, it's just very, very pretty. Now, as I said, it's growing in my standard pond mixture. Maybe I didn't say it. Standard pond mixture and a self-watering pot. And it's got a nice little root system in there. And it's got moisture, I can tell. The leaves are measuring about, let's see if I can do this without, I got to put a fishing weight on the back so it doesn't tip over. The leaves are measuring approximately, from petiole to tip, about 2 inches or 5 centimeters, and from side to side, about 3/4 of an inch or 2 centimeters. And it's just very, very pretty. I enjoy this plant. Could have more dust. Clearly the cleaning staff has not been doing their job of dusting. But anyway, it's a really cute little plant. It's very, very nice. It's doing really well. And if you like the combination of smaller leaves with a little bit of green splash and the fuzziness, then yeah, this is another one to keep your eyes out for. It's very cool. I enjoyed this plant. This came from Plants Wake You Up, and this is my Hoya thomsonii. I'm going to take this moment in the middle of the video to remind you to please click on the thumbs up like button and the subscribe button. Again, I'm shooting for 5,000 subscribers in the next month or so, and both of those things help affect the YouTube algorithm and help make that happen. So please and thank you. And now we're into the plants that have been here for 5 years. The first one of those is my Hoya nummularioides. Now, nummularioides is native to Thailand, to Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. And the remarks on the herbarium sheet say Cambodia and Laos, so that was probably where it was discovered by Western scientists. It was first published in 1912 in Flora Générale de l'Indochine by Julien Noël Constantin. And my story about this one is I was down at a nursery in Little Compton, Rhode Island, called Peckham's. And it's a really fun nursery. And it was my first time there, so I asked if they had any Hoyas and where they were. And the lady said, okay, well, you go over here and you take a right and you go down to the third greenhouse, and they're in there. They're going to be on the right side. So I did, but they had one tray, and it was labeled Hoya carnosa. And I looked at the carnosas, and that's not, I wanted something better. So as I looked over the tray, it was one of the situation of which one of these is not like the others. And I saw those leaves. And I said, you know, that's not a carnosa. But it had a tag in it, but it just had a barcode. So I said, okay, I think I know what this is. I'm going to take it up front. So I did, and the nice lady at the counter, I said, listen, there's no tag on this. Can you tell me what it is? And she said, oh yeah. She pulled out her phone, she scanned the tag, and she came back and she looked at the tag, looked at her phone and went, it's Hoya And I said, nummularioides? And she looked at it and went, yep, that's it. So it came home with me. It has done very well. I like this plant. This is not a rampant grower for me, but it's a good grower. It's steady. It's a little slow, but it's steady. I think the leaves are very, very cool. I like the shape. I like the texture of them. I just like the look of this plant. So I moved it into my pond and standard pond and a self-watering pot, one of those little 4-inchers. And after a while, I moved it up to this size, which is like a 5 or a 7-inch. It's done well. I may have some pictures of early on when it arrived. It has bloomed for me, and with luck, I'll have those pictures as well, and I'll pop them in someplace. It's just been a nice plant. I had it growing under brighter light. It didn't seem to like that. So right now it is on a small chest of drawers in the plant room, the farthest wall away from the southeast facing window. So it's not under a grow light. There's a grow light off to the side, but there's other plants in the way. So it's growing in fairly low light. And it seems to like that. I think if I could give it slightly more light, it would kind of prefer that. I'm working on that. I have to do a major rework of the plant room this summer. You know, get in there and I have to take everything out, clean everything, rethink some of the shelves. But before I even start doing that, I'm working it through in my head as to, okay, I need this. These things need to be here under that kind of light, and these things need this kind of space. And so I think it would like maybe a little bit more light, but not much, because I think that's just cool. Very happy with this plant. I don't see it come up very often. It shouldn't be hard to find, and it should be a little bit more available than it seems to be. The stems get woody fairly quick. The leaves are slightly on the thick side. They're slightly pubescent on the top and the bottom, but it's a very short pubescence. Like they're soft as opposed to being brushy or bristly. And I just think it's a neat little thing. So yeah, I'm happy with this one. I like it very much. It's a good one to find. It's not going to, be a racehorse of growing, but when it gets settled, it'll do well for you. This one came from Peckham's in Little Compton, Rhode Island, and this is my Hoya nummularioides. Couple of plants that have been here for 5 years, and they are my Hoya pubicalyx. Now, pubicalyx is native to Luzon Island in the Philippines. It was first published in 1918 in the Philippine Journal of Science, Section C, Botany, by Elmer Drew Merrill. And this was one of the ones I bought when I was unsure of how well I could get Hoya to grow. So I didn't want to spend a lot of money on a plant, but I wanted something kind of neat. And these seemed to be available. And I found one that was labeled online as Hoya pubicalyx silver pink. And it's a very pretty plant. I like the leaves, and it has grown, let me get a grip on this, it has grown into a real monster. I need to tie down these vines so they start putting out some leaves. But it's done really well, and I was happy to find it and happy to order it and glad when it was on its way. But before it arrived, I need to make room to set this someplace. Before it arrived, I was up at a local nursery and found something that was labeled as Hoya pubicalyx splash. And I looked at the leaves on this. Now, those are even nicer. That's really, really cool. Do I need 2 of them? And apparently I did. So I purchased this Hoya pubicalyx splash. Now, when you see a descriptor like that, it doesn't mean that they're 2 separate species or 2 different cultivars. The silver pink refers to the blossoms on that plant, and the splash just means that this particular clone seems to have more splash than is standard. So they're both doing really well. I mean, that's a very pretty plant to my eye. They're very, very cool. Now, they're both out of my drink. That's mine, not yours. They're both living in a standard organic mix, which is cocoa husk chunks and long fibrous sphagnum and some pumice and some fine bark. They're both in self-watering pots. Well, this one's not so much self-watering, but the roots have grown right on through and it gets down to what is a reservoir in the bottom. I may have pictures of what they looked like when they showed up or when I brought them home. And if I do, I'll include those somewhere along the way here. The leaves on both of them, they're long lancet leaves with a slightly recessed central vein. No real side veins to speak of. From petiole to tip, they're measuring, I'm going to call that as 6 inches or 15¼ centimeters. And they've just done very, very well for me. They're very sturdy. They're one of those classic Hoyas. And as I am fond of saying, those classic Hoyas are classic for a reason. They're beautiful, they're sturdy, they're hardy, and then they just grow for you. I haven't seen pubicalyx in like the big box stores. My local plant stores usually have them all the time. I see them online all the time. So they're out there. Yeah, I would not hesitate. Even though they're in an organic mix, and I did remove them and stuff, and they've been repotted a couple times. They do well. They seem to handle that well. The leaves are a little thick, a little succulent. The vines tend to stay green for a very long time, so I would assume that the plants hold a certain amount of water. It's not like they're plump leaves, but they're good. There is some flex to them. Don't do that stupid thing. They've just been good plants for me. I wasn't sure at the beginning, but I've really come to enjoy the look of both of these. Now, I'll put this one back over here. They both live in my bedroom. And this one lives in the western-facing window. It is pulled back maybe a foot or 2. In the summertime, the light is not that strong, even though it's a western window, because there are leaves on the trees outside the window. And in the winter, the sun is at a much lower angle, so it doesn't seem to mind. Although you will note that the color of the leaves here is a little bit paler. I'm sure if I moved it back, it would be less pale. This one lives on my dresser, which is approximately 1 meter or 39 inches pulled back from that western window. They both seem to do fine in that kind of vicinity, so I'm not going to mess with that too much. But Hoya pubicalyx is a great plant. I mean, it might not be fancy and everything else, but it's a great Hoya. You know, it's been sturdy. It's put up with all my stuff, spent blossoms, with all of my stuff. This one's on a bamboo trellis. I do want to repot this one because the trellis I have it on is about at least 4 to 5 feet. And there's no point in that. And plus it's gotten a little wobbly. So I want to put in one of my optimistic trellises on this one. It'll be more stable and retrellis it. But again, you know, that could be an hour process for that whole thing. So yeah, I can get a whole lot of little projects done in the time it would take me to do this one. But maybe before the winter gets here and we all hunker down a bit. But anyway, Hoya pubicalyx is a great plant. Very, very fond of it. No issues, no trauma, no drama. It did take it a while, maybe a year or two before it bloomed for the first time, but everything else that happened in the interim, all the growth and everything else was definitely worth the wait. Yeah, so this is my Hoya pubicalyx silver pink, and this one came from Soulless Plants on Etsy. And this is my Hoya pubicalyx splash, and this one came from Briggs in North Attleboro, Massachusetts. And now it's time for the question for the comments. And reading your responses to last week's question was so much fun. Last week's question is, what plants are you over? Are you just over? And boy, I could hear the frustration in some of those about like, oh, I'm so done with, no. Over that, absolutely over that. It was funny. It did my heart some good in that, oh, I'm not the only one who gets over stuff. And a lot of them were like, oh yeah, I'm over that one too. So yeah, that was very good. Thank you for your comments. This week is the opposite of that one. What plants do you want to try? Things that you haven't tried yet. And don't give me a list of like 40 and don't give me, 30 different species of Hoya, different genera that you want to try. Some things like, oh, I saw this on this channel and I want to try that. Or that looks really cool, I want to try that. Not so much what's on your wish list, but things you're kind of looking at going, that looks really interesting. So yeah, that'll be something to look forward to, and add it to the comments below because, sometimes it takes me a few days to get back to you, but I do read all your comments. And as always, I want to thank you for choosing to spend a little bit of your time with me this week's end. Please remember to click that thumbs up like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell, and if you're on a mobile device, when you're all done watching and commenting, please click on that hype button. All of those things help convince the YouTube algorithm that people like my channel and that they should recommend it to others who haven't seen it yet. And it's your way of helping to get the channel to grow. I'm shooting for 5,000 subscribers in the next month or so, so that's one way that you can help make that happen. A lot of the products that you've seen me use are available through my Amazon storefront. There's a link to the storefront in the description, or you can scan this QR code with the camera app on your phone to visit that site. It's another way of helping to support the channel because I receive a small commission on the sales, but that doesn't increase your price whatsoever. And you're helping the channel by buying things that you would normally buy just doing it through my storefront. If you're in the market for grow lights, I have a relationship with the thomsonii Corporation. There's a link to their website in the description, or you can scan this QR code with the camera app on your phone. While you're there, and when you're done shopping, if you use this discount code at checkout, you'll receive a 30% discount from the prices you find there. Again, I receive a commission on the sales, but it doesn't increase your price whatsoever, and that's another way of helping the channel. If you'd like to support the channel directly, there's a link in the description to my Buy Me a Coffee page, or you can scan this QR code with the camera app on your phone to visit the page. If you'd like to work directly through YouTube, there's a thanks button down here, and YouTube handles all the work and paperwork and everything else for processing contributions through the thanks button. As usual, I'm going to put links to a couple more videos over here on the side, and please enjoy the rest of your week's end.